So let's begin with today's class. Today we'll be going through some other basic functionalities of Pygame. That is, we will be going over how do you load your own image that you found on the internet into Pygames, and also how to move those images around. So last class, we created a simple program that was capable of drawing out a circle. So let me just quickly run that program for you. Now let's get into an actual example of how do you actually load your image into Pygames. So let me just close this, and IDLE. Gonna start a new file. Right. So you're welcome to copy this while I'm writing it down. But please note that I'll be typing this out in a much faster speed that you might not be able to catch up with me. But I will give you time afterwards. So just try your best to try to catch up with me as for now. So the first thing you have to do, of course, is an import statement that tells Python that we want to use the Pygame library. And just for good convention, we need to initialize the Pygame library by calling pygame.init. So we discussed last class. What does this line do? Well, it's just like a signal for the Pygame library, so that the Pygame library knows that you want to start using its functionalities. It used to be a line that you must have in the older versions of Pygame, but last class we discovered that you actually don't need that nowadays. But just to make sure that this program is not only run on the latest version of Pygame, maybe you're running this program on other versions of Pygame and you still want it to work, just include this line. Right, now the next thing we want to do after we have initialized and imported Pygame is to create our window. So screen equals Pygame. Sorry, I might need to go back and refresh myself a little bit. Oh, right, it's display.set mode. So pygame.display.set_mode. And I need to give it a list of numbers representing the width and height of the window I want to create. So in this case, let me just use what I used from last class, 800 pixels wide and 600 pixels high. So let me just save this to desktop. I'm gonna call it showpic.py. So let's just run it for now, just to make sure that it is working. Okay, yep, it is working. So let's just make sure that this window is indeed what we wanted. Yeah, it let's look like to be 800 pixels wide and 600 pixels high. That's great. That means that we haven't done anything wrong, but notice that right now I cannot close this because we haven't created our again loop that handles all events generated by the user yet. So right now I'm just going to have to use the infamous task manager and forcibly shut it down. So which one is it that's hosting it? This one. All right, goodbye. And I'm going to keep on working. So that was our screen created. Now we can hop into our game loop. So I'm going to define a variable called keep going, which will equal to true. This will be the game loop variable that tells if you want the game to continue or not. And then we can continue with our while loop. Sorry, not true. It should be while we want the game to keep going. Then we will continue with the game loop. So what are we going to do in the game loop? the first thing we have to do is to handle all events generated by the user. So for each event in pygame.event.get, so this is just getting all events generated by the user. And we only want to handle one kind of event here, that is the quit event when we want to close the program. So if that's the case, then event.type, if that equals event.quit, then we're going to set the keep going variable to be false. That is, we do not want the game to keep running anymore. And so that in the next scan loop, it's going to stop it from there on. Right, and what do we do when we get out of the game loop? Well, we want to do pygame.quit to properly terminate the program. So now let's try to run it. Oh. Right, I think there is a typo here. Just let me to briefly refresh myself. Oh, it's pygame.quit, not event.quit. So there's a typo here. It should be pygame.quit. So again, I'm gonna use task manager to shut down my game because we didn't properly handle the exit. Oh dear, it's not responding. Okay. There we go, it's gone. All right, let's try to run it again. Right, so the window is here, but this time if you click on the close window button, it now closes properly. And that's because we added the lines that handles the close window or exit event. So this is just the skeleton of our program. Right now, this program is just showing a blank window in black, but this is not our objective here. Our objective is to, as the name of the program indicates, is to show the picture that we found on the internet. So I found a picture myself using the resource provided by the textbook, which is here is a file called Crazy Smile. So you can see it's really just a smiley face in a black background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this picture that I'm going to use to my desktop. Actually, I'm going to change my screen share to another position. Okay, so now you can see that on my desktop, I put my picture here. And also on my desktop, there's also the program showpic.py. I also save my program here. Make sure that you save your program in the same location as your picture file. Otherwise, Pygame is not going to be able to find it. So with that, now we can actually properly load our picture. So just give me a moment. Right. So as I said before, there are 3 steps in showing a picture of your own in Pygame. The first step is load the picture from the picture file into Pygame. And with that, we're going to use a function called pygame.image.load. And in the parentheses, we're going to give it a string that contains the name of the file that we wanted to load. So in this case, the name of the file of my picture is called crazysmell.bmp. I'm simply going to copy that name and paste it here. So it knows that, okay, it should load this picture, or it should load the picture from the file called crazysmell.pmp. Well, that's not it. We also have to save or record this in a variable I'm just going to name it pic. So that's the first step. That is to load the picture from the picture file into Pygame or into our program. But does that do anything, or like does it actually show the picture? We can try to run it, and you'll see that, well, no, it's definitely not here. And why is that happening? Well, because I told you there are 2 more steps in actually showing a picture in your program. The second step is to split your picture onto the Pygame screen. And for that, we are going to use a special function called, over here, you can see that I've already created a game window and saved it in a variable called screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this screen dot split picture and at position 100, 100. So what I'm doing here is I'm telling Python that I want to basically overlap or draw my crazy smile picture on my screen. That's what I'm doing here using the split. So again, split is just drawing a picture on a screen. So in this case, I'm drawing my picture that has the crazy smile logo onto Pygame's game screen. And this function takes in 2 arguments. The first is the picture that you want to draw on the screen. The second is a tuple, that tells it what is the position or the XY coordinate that you want to draw out this picture of your own. But is that done yet? Well, if now I try to run it, we'll see that it's still not showing. This is because there is one last line that we need to add. The last step we have to do is to update the screen. And for that, we're going to call pygame.display.update. And now if you save that and run it, there we go. Finally, the smiley face is here.